In the grandeur and opulence of the Song Dynasty in ancient China, tales of royalty often bring to mind images of riches, splendor, and power. Yet there is one story that stands out, a tragic and heartbreaking tale of a princess who suffered abuse and mistreatment at the hands of those closest to her. Meet the abused princess of Song Dynasty, whose story of perseverance and strength amidst unspeakable cruelty will leave you in awe and admiration. Join me on a journey back in time to uncover the harrowing story of this remarkable princess and how she overcame adversity to become a symbol of hope for all those who have suffered in silence. Setting the stage for the abused princess of Song Dynasty in ancient China. During the Song Dynasty in ancient China, the position of women was generally subordinated to men. Despite this, there were notable exceptions of powerful women who wielded significant influence, such as Empress Wu Zetian of the Tang Dynasty and Empress Dowager Cixi of the Qin Dynasty. However, for the majority of women during the Song Dynasty, their lives were heavily restricted by patriarchal norms and customs. It was within this context that the story of the abused princess took place. According to legend, there was a Song Dynasty princess who suffered from abuse at the hands of her husband, a prince. The prince was said to have been jealous of the princess's talent for singing and would often beat her when she performed. Despite this, the princess refused to give up her passion for music. As the story goes, the princess eventually fled from the palace and became a wandering singer, earning the nickname the Abused Princess of Song Dynasty. Her story became popular in Chinese folklore, with many versions and adaptations appearing in literature, music, and theater throughout the centuries. This legend highlights the struggles and limitations that women faced during the Song Dynasty. It also showcases the resilience and determination of women who refused to be silenced and suppressed, even in the face of abuse and oppression. The life and struggles of the princess. Examining the abuse she faced. The Song Dynasty of ancient China was a period of great cultural and social change, but it was also a time when women faced significant obstacles and discrimination. One of the most famous figures of this era was Princess Zhao Mingcheng, who lived during the 12th century. Her life and struggles highlight the abuse that many women faced during this time. Princess Zhao Mingcheng was born into a royal family, the daughter of Emperor Huizong and Empress Wang. Despite her privileged upbringing, she faced many challenges throughout her life. Her father was captured during a military campaign, and she was forced to flee with her family to a new capital city. While there, she was subjected to physical and emotional abuse by her mother, who blamed her for their misfortunes. As she grew older, Princess Zhao faced even more difficulties. She was forced into a loveless marriage to a man she did not care for, and she was regularly mistreated by her husband. She eventually fell in love with a court official named Han Shizong, but their relationship was forbidden by law. When they were caught, Han was executed, and Princess Zhao was forced into exile. Throughout her life, Princess Zhao faced abuse from both her family and her society. Women in ancient China were often treated as second-class citizens, with limited opportunities for education and career advancement. They were expected to be obedient to their husbands and families, and were punished severely if they disobeyed. The historical and cultural context of the Song Dynasty. Understanding the treatment of women. Under the Song Dynasty, there was a notable expansion of female literacy, education, and participation in the arts. Women were allowed to attend schools and receive education, and there were even female poets and scholars who gained significant recognition during this time. This reflects a broader cultural shift towards an appreciation of the arts and intellectual pursuits, which allowed women to participate more fully in society. However, despite these changes, women's status remained largely subordinated to men. Confucianism, which was the dominant philosophy of the time, held that men were inherently superior to women, and that women's primary role was to serve men. Women were expected to marry and have children, and their value was often judged based on their ability to produce male heirs. Moreover, under the Song Dynasty, there was a significant growth in the practice of foot binding, which became an integral part of the beauty standards for women. Foot binding was a painful and dangerous practice that involved breaking and reshaping young girls' feet to fit into tiny shoes. This practice was considered a sign of beauty and femininity, and was seen as an indication of a woman's social status. Despite these cultural constraints, women's lives during the Song Dynasty were not uniformly oppressive. Some women managed to achieve significant levels of autonomy and power, particularly within the context of their families. Women who were born into wealthy or influential families often had greater control over their lives and were able to negotiate more freedom in their marriages and family relationships. The legacy of the abused princess impact on Chinese society and culture. Abused princess story has served as a cautionary tale about the dangers of abuse and the need to protect women from harm. It has also highlighted the importance of promoting gender equality and challenging patriarchal norms and values that perpetuate violence against women. Moreover, the story of the abused princess has had a significant impact on Chinese literature and art. It has been the subject of numerous plays, novels, and films, which have helped to keep her story alive in the public consciousness and to raise awareness about the issue of gender-based violence. In recent years, there has been a renewed focus on the abused princess story as part of broader efforts to address the issue of gender-based violence in China. The Chinese government has implemented a number of measures aimed at protecting women from abuse, including the adoption of domestic violence legislation and the establishment of shelters and hotlines for victims of abuse. Conclusions and lessons learned. Reflections on the abused princess of Song Dynasty. The story provides a glimpse into the complexities and challenges faced by women during this period in Chinese history. The abused princess, who is said to have lived during the Northern Song Dynasty, was a victim of physical and emotional abuse at the hands of her husband and in-laws. While the abused princess story is undoubtedly a tragic one, it also provides an opportunity to reflect on the broader social and cultural context of women's lives during the Song Dynasty. Despite the significant gains made in terms of education and artistic participation, women's status remained subordinate to men, and they were often subject to oppressive beauty standards and social expectations. Moreover, Confucianism, which was the dominant philosophy of the time, held that men were inherently superior to women, and that women's primary role was to serve men. This mindset undoubtedly contributed to the abused princess situation, as her husband and in-laws likely felt justified in their treatment of her. However, the story of the abused princess also highlights the agency and resilience of women during this period. Despite the significant cultural and social constraints they faced, many women managed to negotiate greater freedom and autonomy within the context of their families. As we reflect on the abused princess story, it is important to recognize the ongoing struggles faced by women around the world who continue to face gender-based violence and discrimination. Moreover, it is essential to acknowledge the importance of promoting gender equality and challenging patriarchal norms and values as a means of ensuring that women are able to fully realize their potential and live lives free from violence and oppression. So that's it for today. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and click the bell button to get all the latest updates.